Should we start? Okay. Dobry wieczór. Доклад будет на английском, но вы можете задавать вопросы на русском, буду поменять. Просто говорить технически на русском, мне кажется, не получается, зато я говорю на английском. Okay, today we're going to speak about how we actually build our automation mobile device farm. This is the place where we are running the automation tests and getting the results. I will talk about mainly the architecture and how we actually get to the point that we are running about like 1,500 tests within 2 hours inside the local device farm. Okay, my name is Sargis. I'm here at SQA Days already 8th time, which means that about like 25% of the SQA Days I have a part of it. So I'm kind of the feeling at home, and this is 3rd time in the Sankt-Pетербурg. I'm visiting only for this conference. But I always ready to return back to the Sankt-Pетербурg to see this beauty of Russia. And only I hope that next time the bridges will be open and Shushan will be happy to see how they are opening, because we were freezing outside to see the bridges open, but they didn't, unfortunately. So, but hopefully next time we will manage to do that. I'm working at Pixar. Have you ever heard about Pixar? Yeah. Pixar is the photo editing app with 150 million monthly active users. So we are basically right now working on the mobile and the web version of this application. And today we will talk about the mobile part. Maybe later we'll talk about how we did the automation in the web part. And we have offices in more than 5 locations in the world. And by the way, we have the office in Moscow, and they are quite big engineering team in Moscow. So if you didn't have a chance to check it out, just download the app and create the awesome pictures for your social networks. Okay, so let's talk about the mobile challenges. I mean, we all know how to test, and we can compare basically desktop, web, and the mobile. If you had a chance to work with the mobile apps, have you worked with the mobile apps? Yeah, maybe you can find out that it has more challenges than the web, for example. For example, we have screen sizes. Yes, I mean there are more than 25,000 Android devices only. So in our case, we support 15,000 Android devices. 15,000 Android devices, and it makes the testing more complicated and challenging. We have the localization stuff. For example, in our case, we are translating the application with 34 languages. Yeah. So in any language, it looks different, especially for Arabic. When it's Arabic, like it's a new app. I mean, even I cannot use the app when it's Arabic. We have the performance part. I mean, you never think about how like deep the device is performing when we are using the web. Yes, it's the only like web performance. But here you have very deep like challenge to solve with the performance. Of course, the networking, because we have Wi-Fi. I mean, and like GSM LTE connection, and in different countries it works differently. We had a case that for example, some case of the logins doesn't work only in Japan, but in whole the world it was fine. But it doesn't work in Japan only for one mobile operator, and for the rest it was working. So this kind of the challenges are making very hard to test the mobile applications, and for this reason, we made the decision to create this mobile device farm or lab. What is it actually? It's the collection of the devices where we are running only automation. when we talk about, during this session, when we talk about the device lab, it's only for automation, which is like locked for automation, and we are running the tests only on these devices. So, why we build actually these devices? One of the reasons we need to test real experience. Yeah? We want to see how users are seeing our application. And because we are photo editor app, it's visual. And this photo editing is making more challengeable to understand like how users will see, because any small pixel change can disrupt the user experience. We can create the custom infrastructure for the automation. For example, in our case, we built some mock servers which are supporting our automation. This is like fully customized, and it's only for development version, and we just cut out from some part of the backend, and we catch up all the requests and send the response that we need for the current test case. And in the end, let's talk about the cost efficiency. But just want to pay your attention here. It doesn't mean that this solution is cheap. The solution is not cheap at all. It depends what you want to do. If you are working with a small team, with several people, or I don't know, we work with a client, there are better, like cheaper solutions, for example, Sauce Labs or Browser Stack or this kind of the cloud solutions that you can use. This is cost efficient in the case when you are like, especially in the product company, and you invest in the quality to build the assurance of the quality for the future. In our case, we work only for Pixar. We build a Pixar application for already 10 years, and we're going to continue to work on this application, which means that we need the long-term investment, and only in this long-term investment we can get the positive result in the return on investment. Good. So what we achieved actually with building this device farm. As I already said, it's the real device experience. So we are running all our tests in the real devices. Yeah. We do some configuration, for example, Apple provisioning. If you use Apple with the Appium, maybe you know the challenge of installing the provisioning profiles, etc. This mobile farm infrastructure allows us automatically do this step. I mean, we never do it manually. You put in the farm, you connect to the service, the rest will be done automatically. We use private mobile farm. This is mostly for the companies who care about the privacy, about the data, the user data. So the farm inside the company, it works under the VPN, and it doesn't have access outside of our network. So we also keep all the data, even the testing data, private. And of course, we achieved the idea of not automating everything. This means that if even you can automate, never automate everything, because it will be more expensive to take care about these automation cases sometimes than do it manually. There are some very complex cases that actually it's possible to automate, but it's better to skip it to not make the heavy load on your mobile farm. Like we are keeping all these metrics to make sure that we are not putting too much load to make it possible to run within the 2 hours. Okay, so which stack actually we use? We use Android and iOS device platforms like OS that we use on the devices. We use the Java. We use the Appium. We choose the Appium because it's cross-platform, and actually we did a solution of having the same page objects for both platforms. So basically we write one page object and it works for Android and the iOS. And the Appium actually allows to have these multi-platform page objects. We use the Selenium grid, which is providing us the parallel run possibility. And of course we use the Jenkins to run all these tests in the continuous integration. So from the hardware side, what we use the Mac Mini, which is taking role of the server. We use the power hubs. I will talk about the power issues a bit later, why we use specific power hubs. Of course, the phones and the iPhoning, phones and cabling for Android and the iOS, and we use some monitors to show all these reports like visually for the team. So the ecosystem actually looks like this. We have the Jenkins here, and we connect this server, Mac server, to the Jenkins. And all these devices are connected to this machine. And inside this machine, we are running Docker, like Docker container, where is the Selenium grid is running, and we connect all these devices to the Selenium grid. Okay, the same. This solution is scalable. So right now we have about 40 devices in the device farm, but the solution allows us to scale as much as we want. I mean, if one day we want to speed up the test and run it within the 1 hour, which means that we need to double the amount of the devices. If we buy the devices, we just put there and they are working with like 80 threads. So why I put there like it can go till the end, I mean, and all of them just registering in the grid. The same happening, exactly the same happening for Android. It's a bit hard to keep these two platforms identical, but we try to make the solutions that they are working identical later to pay less cost for the maintenance. So for the Android, it's also, we just connect the Android devices and that's all. It's registering in the grid, and then they are running the tests parallel here. Okay, power management. In the beginning, when we start to build this mobile farm, there was like a lot of challenging situations that we were like locked down, what to do, how to do, and how to solve these issues. And one of them were these power issues. The situation was the following. I mean, the idea was, let's build this ecosystems. At least we can run the test in the evening, and in the morning we will have the results. That was the beginning when it was taking like 7-8 hours. I mean, as I mentioned, now it's running within the 2 hours. And when we come back in the morning, I mean, there was like half of the tests were broken, and the reason was some of the devices just ran out of battery, and the thread was killed, and the test even didn't run. So the problem was that when we are pushing this test and the device is working under the load, it spends more energy than it can charge from the server machine. So why we just bought like specific power adapters, which are giving more energy to the device than device is using, and we solve this issue. To be a bit helpful, if you, in your experience, will face this issue, you can just go with this link and find the Amazon link, exactly the one that we bought actually. The next one is network management. Again, the office that we are working in is in a big business center. And there are a lot of Wi-Fi connections. And basically, after having this issue, we started to dig in how actually Wi-Fi is working. And we find out that as there are like big and very powerful Wi-Fi routers working in the building, they just cover each other. And the problem is rising when during the run, the internet connection, we are losing the internet connection for 10 seconds. But during these 10 seconds, we are skipping like 200 tests because internet connection is not there. The test is starting and failing, starting and failing. So we are having a like very big amount of the failed tests. So for the iOS, it was very easy because the like Mac OS is supporting the functionality of giving the reverse networking. What does it mean? So you turn on the option, and computer is giving the internet to the device. Yeah, Usually what we do, like when we don't have internet, we connect the phone to the computer and we are getting the internet connection from the computer. Here, the challenge was to give it back. So computer will get from the LAN and will give to the device. For iOS, you can find this option in the settings, in the Mac OS settings. For Android, it was an issue because there is no default solution for this. And we find out this generated script, which is you just connect your Android, you run this script, it finds the connected device, and make the reverse connection. This makes it a bit hard to configure it in the CI, in the Jenkins, because every time that they run, we are running this script and reversing the direction of the network to make sure that the device will get the internet connection from the computer. With this solution, we solve the stability of the internet connection. So the device is always connected to the internet, and we have a stable connection, and the connection is not causing the issue of the failing test. So the architecture of the run looks in the Jenkins looks like this. So basically what we do, as these automation tests have to have a possibility to run in the custom branches also, because we need to run in the development versions. So we create the possibility that, first of all, we give the branch, for example, of the Android application, and the CI is building the APK from this branch, and then it takes the test from the test repository and run the automation test on this version. So as you see here, we build the binary, which is building the application, and then we kick off the run. When we kick off the run, this runner is connecting to the Selenium grid and checking how many slaves are ready to run the test. It gets the amount and starting to push the test. Yeah. It's running on the devices via the Selenium grid, and in the end, I guess all of you know about the ALU reporting. It's generating the ALU reporting files and pushing back to the server. Every thread is sending this data to one folder where we can read and then generate the report. Okay. So basically, what's happening inside the run when we just push everything there? First of all, we are cleaning up the environment. We reboot device. This is another issue. When you are always running a lot of tests, it's filling the storage. You don't have any files there, but when a lot of tests are running, your storage will be full. When you reboot the device, it's like cleaning up the storage. This is Android issue. I mean, you don't have a data, but it's the temporary files are filling it up. So every time we're just rebooting this device to make sure that it's starting from the scratch. Then we are killing the previous Appium server that was running, if there are any. Yeah, just making sure that we don't have any other old services running. And we are killing the generated script if it's running. This is again only for Android to reverse the network. After that, we are setting the environment to run the test, running the Appium server, running the generated script for the Android, and then running the test. It's finalizing and generating all the ALU reporting files, and then we generate the report. Yeah. Is it clear how the mainly architecture is working? For the reporting, it was very hard in the beginning to combine all these data to one server and generate one full report, because every thread was generating this file separately, and it was challenging to collect all this data, send to the one server, and from the one server to generate all this data. Yeah. And we did some customization in the reporting. Of course, we keep the screenshot of the failure. And as you know, in ALU reporting, you have like full of the tools for the customization. And we also creating lots of, keeping a lot of data there. For example, when the test failing, we take the screenshot, We take the token that was used for the testing, I mean later to duplicate exact the case. For example, this was the user-specific issue. Yeah? We keep the username here. We keep the ID, the user ID, and email to later to be able to find in the DB. I mean, this is for the debugging purposes. We also keep the data of which device it was, the model, and exactly what was the ID of that device. Again, when there is a specific bug, because in the mobile farm we have different type of the devices, different OS versions, different poverty of the devices, and so if there are any issue, we can find out it. And later we are also keeping the data of the environment, which environment was the backend connection, etc. So this full information allows us to have full picture of the failure, so it makes it easy to duplicate it. Okay, and in the end, I want to show this farm. This is small one. I mean, the picture was done several months ago because this talk was planned to have in November in Moscow for SQA Days. Because of pandemic, we delayed it. But this is the farm, and this is the devices there. And this just try to make it presentable to have in the office. But in any case, you can just collect everything in the shelves and put on a server, like server room, and run it there. But we decided to have it presentable and put on the office, so people even passing, they're just coming and watching how just application is running itself, like it's kind of the fun for non-technical people also. Basically, when we run it, it looks like this. Good. And I guess that's all. If you have any question regarding it. Yep, we have questions there. 1, 2, 3. Unfortunately, we will not have a time after the talk to answer the questions, but I can like try to answer as much as I can for now. Yeah.
Thank you for presentation. It was really impressive. I have a question about, you said that you can find out every issue while this automatically testing system and real devices lab. Is there some case, maybe you just found out that when you can't find the issue and you need to check it manually, or this system covers everything and you just don't need manual testing? Thank you.
In our case, I would say that we always will need a manual testing. Of course, we have a lot of solutions that we are checking visually. Yeah, that's another story, another solutions that we just take the screenshot, comparing the screenshots, and also as our app has also video editing, we have the created system that's taking the two videos and comparing to each other and saying that it was edited right or not. But as I told in the main achievement, we don't try to automate everything. Yeah, because this is a photo editing app, and even if it is working, I mean, you make this shape and the shape is there. Visually, you have to see, was it like right or not? I mean, it is brush line or it is just a line, you know? Sometimes this kind of stuff you cannot determine it with the automation. Maybe our grandchildren will have that possibility to do with the AI that will be already like developed as much as they can determine this kind of the logical stuff. But right now, I don't see the day that we will say that we don't need the automation. We don't need the manual testing at all. To be more specific, I'm managing the team of 80 people and 25 of them automation. Rest of them are working in manual.
Thank you.
I remember all of you.
Hello, Sargis. Thank you for your presentation. You mentioned that to speed up testing, you can hook up additional devices to your device lab. My question is, if the device is of different model or it has different software, how do you split up your test suits to be sure that tests that you were running on a new physical device will pass successfully on different physical devices already existing in your physical lab?
Okay, so thanks for the question. This is the situation when, okay, we have a lot of devices, there are different OS versions, and we can bring the new ones and we can update it. So first of all the auto updates are turned off to not have the bad situation that all the devices in the farm are running on the same version. But we just keep the range of the devices, and the tests are getting to these devices randomly. So basically, if you run 3 times, I mean, you're the same tests going to the different devices. So this is the leveraging the risk. Because if we try to run all the tests, all the devices, for the all devices, this will take like very, very long. The device-specific issues are found with the data that I show, why we keep in the reporting, because sometimes we have a device-specific issue and we need to know which device was the device that was running that thread. So we are finding the device and trying to do that. And from other hand, we have the possibility in the CI that we can, for example, create a job that will run all the tests on this device. That could take 10 hours, 15 hours, but there is a possibility. So if there is a high usage device and we're getting a lot of the problems, we can just with the checkboxing check the devices, just run only on these devices, and they all will go only on that devices. The queue will be big, the time will be longer, but we have the possibility. I guess I answered your question, yes? Yeah.
Hello, thank you for your speech. It's very good, and welcome to our sunny city. Actually, previous summer we did something like that in our company, and we built our mobile app both of OpenSTF solution. Have you tried this platform and decided to not use it, or maybe other solutions?
Which solution you said?
OpenSTF.
STF,
yeah. Have you tried it or not? And the second question about exclusive access to some devices. For instance, I'm a developer, I need some device to be booked for me from this lab. How can I ensure that after test will not take it and mix my work with after test work? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for the question. 2 years ago, I tried it OpenSTF lab. It was fun, especially when you can access the device and see the stuff. But we find like different solution, actually, which was built by Edgar. He just did that connection that we can just open with the Selenium grid, and we can see what's happening there with VNC. So that was preferable for us than the OpenSTF because it was very heavy and it was very hard to maintain. The solution that we built, I guess it's for us right now easy to maintain than there was that one. And also there was the issue of keeping this device in the STF lab and also register it in the Selenium grid. This was the problem. We cannot do that parallel. When we were registering in the Selenium grid, it was dropping there, and when we turned it on, it was appearing there. So why we didn't get to that. And the other question is, our automation device farm is locked. No one can touch. I mean, it's open, but everyone knows that don't touch it. Yeah? But we have a lot of range of the devices in the company. Imagine we have 80 quality engineers, and almost everyone has a 2 device with the tech, iOS or Android. So if we will find, try to find all the devices in the company that the people are working, only the QA team, there could be like 200 devices, and plus the developers has their devices. So usually we don't have this kind of the issues that there is no device, so developer need to it. But sometimes there could be the issue that was only reproducing on this farm, and they can request specific this device with this option because the bug reproduced only there. I mean, when there is no running, we just take it out, it automatically will disable that slot from the grid, and the next one when will come, it will not just count that one. I mean, the test will happen like continue run on the less devices. So this is like scalability. You connect, it's rising there, you disconnect, it's losing, we're losing them. Yeah, the only problem when it's right now, it's running the test and you are taking it out, then you will have some issues there.
Hello, thank you for your presentations. Tell why you have selected Selenium Grid but not selected another instrument, because Selenium Grid is not stable and it
Selenoid? Why not Selenoid?
Yeah, why?
We use Selenoid for the web. Selenoid don't have that possibility to support our farm. In the Selenoid, there is a possibility to run on the emulators, I guess. Yeah. But the connecting the real devices, they have some issues. But we use the Selenoid for the web automation. We didn't use because we were not able to make it run with the real devices. So we just used Selenium Grid. It has its issues, but they have like huge issue with the memory. So we just trying to restart it before the run if there is need. And just after the restarting, it's working for 1 to 3 days. But it's, I mean, it's super easy to keep the script that will restart it every time. After the run, it will restart and clean everything.
Hi, thank you. You said about lack of energy, but what to do that you have problem that you permanent charging devices and you will lose your battery pretty fast. So there is a 2 problem. You have to detect when battery start to have a problem and how to change it, because right now most of devices hasn't a replacement for battery, so you have to replace all devices. Yeah. So what to do?
We had a cases of explosion of the battery. How many times it was? 2, 3 times during these 2 years we had the explosion. Hopefully it wasn't fire the office. I mean, but yeah, the battery just exploded. We have the service guy who is taking it for the repair if there is a possibility. If no, I mean, doing like 3 devices per 2 years, it's nothing. I mean, we can just drop it. And I guess we had a question here. Yep. You.
Thanks a lot for your presentation. I have 2 questions. First, as far as I understand, your Java process starts on Mac Mini. It's like your server, and tests run on your real devices. And if you have, for example, 100 real devices and 1 server where started Java processes, don't you have a problem with resources on your server? Because I think 100 Java processes, it's a lot for just one Mac Mini, yeah?
Yep.
And second question, how often do you run these tests? Only in CI/CD processes, or you run it by schedule? Because I think if you run it only on CI/CD, you have a delay with this farm, and it's and your real devices will eat your energy, but you have no profit for it. Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks.
Yeah. Thank you for the questions. The first one. In the beginning, when we built this one, I mean, it was experimental. And what we did, we just asked in the office, do we have old Mac Minis? And they give us like 4 or 5 Mac Minis, and we distributed. That was the hard scaling. In the beginning, it was hard scaling. I mean, this we have like 1,000 tests, this 100 going to this Mac, this 100 to this one, and so we just separated to the devices. And later, when we had the better solution, and we were able to use the one Java thread and connect to the grid, and grid will manage everything. So basically, right now we have one Java thread for the, I mean, it could be parallelly 2 Java thread for Android and the iOS, and they will, through the grid, they will push it there. And what we did recently, we paid about, how much it was? 5,000 or 6,000. I mean, that was, we customized one Mac Mini, which was like about $5,000. I mean, we ordered from the US, and we bring to make sure that we are not lack of the memory. So right now we have one machine which is very, very powerful, and we dropped all that 6, 7 machines. We don't need all of them anymore, and we just use this one. And for with our estimation, it can handle up to 80 devices on the same time. So, but right now we are in a 40. So we still can double our capacity.
Yeah, I got it. So you have a Mac as real server with a lot of memory, CPU, and so on.
Yeah, we just added, recently we just added one, like the very powerful one, to not come back to this for several years at least.
Yeah, okay, I got it, thanks.
This was the reason that in the beginning I said that, okay, this is cost efficient, but in the long term of time. I mean, long period of time. If we are talking on a short period of time, I'm not sure that this will be like cost efficient, because we just put a lot of money to build this kind of the solutions in-house. And the second question?
Second question was about how often do you run these tests? Yeah, only on CI/CD or just 24 hours by scheduler?
Yeah, we have the nightly runs, which is running nightly, and we're running during the day as much as we want. And it takes 2.5 hours for one platform, and we can basically run 3-4 times per day. And we are getting the request from the development teams that we did, for example, refactor, just run on this branch before we will merge to merge the branch. So we just run, give the feedback, and then they are allowed to merge it. So basically all the tests are running on the CI, and these devices are connected to the CI only.
Yeah, okay, thanks.
And the people have their developer devices which they are working, and they can run up to 10 tests and do the debugging, which is not counted on this farm.
Thank you very much.
Thanks. And we have question here. I guess we have 1 minute yet.
Yeah, I have more questions. First one is, what is the overhead on maintaining this lab? Because if we use Cloud Farm, it's no overhead, but in this lab, phones can hang and so on. And also, how you manage credentials and accounts. For instance, on iPhone, you're not able to use device without logging in and so on. How you manage it? Do you have a special hooks or something like that?
For the first part of the question, it was about the overhead. Yes, it requires the maintenance, and the guy sitting there is maintaining the lab. Just in case, you can just find him in the lobby. Yeah, I mean, there is someone who is taking care of it. There is not only pros, there are also cons. We cannot run this 1,500 tests on the cloud and pay per minute, and it's taking longer than we do inside. Like, at least if we push all these tests there, it will be more expensive because we will pay per minute per device. And plus that, this remote connection and stuff, it's like 4 times adding the runtime, even if we book like 40 devices there, etc. So I had some research in one of, I will not call the name, but one of the vendors. And for the 4 devices permanently per year, they send the price of $30,000. So, but with the $30,000, actually we can build better one in a house. This is the question of, are we able to do that or we better go to the solution. So we decided that actually we're able to create this, we can create and maintain, and in the end of the day, if we use it with this volume, it will be cheaper than we do the cloud solutions. So that was the base of the base of the decision. So if you will come to me and say that we are a startup team with 5 people, would you recommend to do this? I will say no. Because if you are a startup with 5 people, at least you will need someone who is taking care, or do you have that knowledge base that someone will create and maintain all this lab? So this is the issue. We have the big team and we have several people who can have the access, maintain all the stuff, so we can allow in this state to do this. But maybe like 7, 8 here in the company, we didn't allow us, but right now we can allow us. So this is the difference. We need to just put the cons and the pros on the situation and make the decision. Good. Any other questions?